What is up, guys? This is Karina from the University Rebel. Thanks for tuning in again. I got my boy Chris P here with me. He's going to be talking today about his journey on how he went from college for a bit, then he went into the military, he learned discipline, and he learned how to structure his entrepreneurship endeavors better, where now he owns his own podcast show. So he's going to get into that. Make sure you guys stay tuned and listen to the great discussion that we had. Thank you. What is up, everybody? This is Karina Lane from the University Rebel. I got my boy with me, Mr. Chris P. on the joint.
What's up? What's up? Thank you for having me.
What's what? What? So, Chris, he is a hustler out here. He got his own business going on. He got Roundtable Discussion podcast, and he pretty much came from some struggle. Education system wasn't for him. So we're going to go and we're going to talk about that a little bit with Chris. So, Chris, getting into the gist, let's talk about a little bit like your upcoming, man. Like, what was that like?
I moved to Connecticut back in 98. I was 11, 12, something like that. I think 11. Grew up in New York, projects, Chelsea projects down in New York. And I grew up with a mom who raised me and my two brothers and my three cousins, all in the 2-bedroom apartment. You know what I'm saying? So it was 6 of us. Well, 7 of us total. And, my mom got married to the man that raised me, who I refer to as my dad. And life was different in Connecticut. It was coming to a new place, no friends, no nothing. Like, just starting literally from scratch. You know what I'm saying? So, but it wasn't I don't have I guess a horrible story. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, not everybody who had a struggle has a terrible story. You know what I'm saying? All right. So, I mean, getting a little bit, high school. Was high school hard for you?
High school, yeah. All right, so we can really talk about that. So, coming to Connecticut, having no friends, just off the rip, was, weird. So, I had to develop to a whole new crust of people, right? So, being from New York, it was, I was very outgoing, I was in school plays, church plays, things like that, because I knew everybody, so it was cool. When I came to New York, when I came to Connecticut, I kind of turned into a turtle in a sense, in my shell. So, and I've developed that shell ever since then. So it's hard for me to open up around people, which is different. On my podcast, I'm able to be myself. You know what I mean? But it took a long time for me to get there. So being in school, I went to high school out in Stamford, Connecticut. For anybody who knows Right Tech, I was there for 2 years before I got kicked out. And I got kicked out because there was a issue in school where there was a Stanford-Bridgeport beef, whatever. So I got kicked out because I brought a bat to school.
Oh my god!
And I was
somebody,
I was if anybody comes at me, it's hot because some dude got jumped. Right. So it was a lot of tension in that school. So I got kicked out. I got sent to Bassick, which is a school in my district. So anybody, if you're old enough, you ever seen the movie Lean on Me? That kind of be equivalent to what Bassick was at that time in 2003, I think. And then the principal who kicked me out basically left, so the other principal liked me. As far as personality, I wasn't a bad kid. I never got into a fight in high school.
Right.
I never had no trouble. So I just brought it back to protect myself. Somebody coming at me, we're gonna handle it accordingly. That was my mindset. Mm-hmm. So I went back to high school. Things was okay. Then I got into an issue my senior year with another teacher, and this was something that had nothing to do with me, but I involved myself. So they was about to expel me, and they said, well, look, there's only 2 months left in the school year. Let's keep him just homeschool it. We'll let him walk with his class, and that's it. So that was everything I went through. So my initial issue was just having problems with authority. That's it. That's my thing. Okay. I don't really like authority figures then. And then I went into college.
Right.
So college I only went in because I got a scholarship.
Right.
So it wasn't like I'm a genius. They just gave out a certain amount of money to people who lived in the area, kind of type thing. Got the scholarship, went to school, went for all the wrong reasons. I went to, to see the woman, you know what I mean? And that's it. And I was like, this shit is not for me.
I mean, that's not terrible,
Nah, that's the best thing to go to college. I wanted the college experience, but I was at University of Bridgeport.
Right.
I live in Bridgeport. It wasn't I'm going far, nothing like that.
Right.
So I realized kind of quick that that's not something I wanted, so I dropped out of the first semester, and that was basically December, and in February I was off to the Army.
Right. So, being in the Army, I mean, that's most definitely an alternative. Nobody even considers that sometimes. And there's some people who do consider it, but they're like, you know what? I don't really know if I should go. Should I go to college instead? Should I do all that? So going to the Army, what was the biggest thing that the Army really taught you? I mean...
Discipline was number one. And let me give you some story real quick on how I got kind of bamboozled into going into the Army. So I was trying to figure shit out, basically. I dropped out of college, and I was like, what am I going to do? And my brother's like, yo, let's go to the Army. So I'm like, nah, I never, I'm sorry, I don't come from a patriotic background. We're Spanish. It's not like we're, nobody in my family. I had one uncle who served in the army. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like some people, it's kind of instilled in you. Like, you're going to grow up, you're going to serve your country. Like, some people grow up and say, look, you're going to college, you're going to get your degree. My family wasn't like that. Like, my mom's biggest thing was like, let's get this nigga through high school. Like, let's get him through high school, and then let's see what happens there.
Right.
Like, I always had an entrepreneurial mindset because, my father who raised me, he's owned businesses too. So it's not like this. Anything I do now is not brand new. Right. So, but I didn't know at that time like this is what I wanted to do. Right. Like, like I used to sell candy and stuff in order to me and my cousin, we wanted the little two-way walkie-talkies. Mm-hmm. We sold candy in both our schools so we can get that money to buy it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, little things like that. So my brother was like, yo, I'm going to go talk to a recruiter. And I was telling him, like, yo, you bugging. Like, why the hell would you go to the military? Shit it just don't make no sense. Mm-hmm. He's like, yo, just come talk to the recruiter one time. Right. So I was like, all right. Sat down with the recruiter, and he just threw dollars at me. Mm-hmm. So me being, was I even 18? Yeah, I just recently turned 18 in November. I dropped out of college in December. January, I talked to the recruiter. I was going in February. So 18 years old, he's telling me, yo, this is how much you're going to make. Your expenses are basically paid for. So I'm like, yo, this sounds like a plan. Like, all right, cool. So there was, what they were promoting at that time was a buddy system. So mm-hmm. basically you can go in with your sibling, and within that contract you're in, you're good with your sibling or whoever comes in as your buddy. Right. So in my head, I was like, all right, I'm going to have my brother there with me 4 years, my contract, or three and a half is what it was. Right. I'm cool. Like, I'm with it. Right. All right, so people who know me know, like, I was like 120 pounds in high school. Oh, word. Like, super lightweight. But that's because, my metabolism was, like, on 100. I was always, like, playing sports, not literally in school, but, like, outside. I was always active. So once I got a little older, I got a little bit bigger, so I wasn't doing as much. Mm-hmm. But my brother was always bigger than me, so I was able to go in like that, no problem. Mm-hmm. Had no prior arrest, nothing on my record that would have stopped me from going to the army. The only thing was that I already had tattoos, and that's something that they like kind of frowned upon then, but they didn't give a shit at that point, which was 06, because they just needed people to enroll. That's only 5 years after 9/11, so they're still trying to get people into the military. They were trying to get them numbers up. Man, they gave me a $27,000 bonus, like. So it was. You can't say no to that. Yeah, I was like, all right, cool. Like, even though I didn't get it all, like, in the time that I thought I would. Like, as a kid, I'm just thinking, like, yo, my rent's paid for. I don't got to worry about nothing, like, but my cell phone bill. Like, why not? So I go in. They say, yo, oh, sorry, your brother can't go in yet because he has to drop down in his weight a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I'm like, all right, so let me hold off till he's ready. I already had, like, a vacation plan in, like, June. And they're like, well, if you sign up now, you're going to get the $27,000 bonus. We can't guarantee that that's going to be the case then. Right. So as a kid, I was like, all right, fuck it, then I'm out. Right. So I left my brother behind. And then he had, like, a prior arrest record, like, when he was a kid that was supposed to be sealed. So basically, it just took forever for his process to go through. So that's why I said I got bamboozled. It was supposed to be me and him. It wasn't even my vision. It was his. And I'm the one who ends up fucking going in. And it changing my life, like, just being able to, learn discipline and kind of respect authority. I had no choice but to, because if not, there would have been, like, how many fights I would have had every day, like, not respecting these drill sergeants? Right. There ain't no rules that says they can't put their hands on you. This is like, they're there to break you down to then build you up. So that was, like, my biggest thing, is just learning discipline and respect of authority. Got you. Nah, really, like, I think that's a hard thing for a lot of people, especially people who have the entrepreneurial spirit, but also that discipline comes into play because being structured, wanting to hustle out on your own, if you're going to take an alternative path than being in the school system, you need that discipline. Exactly. And, sometimes I struggle with it too. Like, man, like, it's really hard to be like, I gotta do X, Y, and Z right now. I don't want to do it, but we're gonna do it. Word. Let's talk about a little bit. You mentioned how you owned a barbershop. You was doing other hustles. Like, what was the hustle? Like, how did you get into the hustles after you got to the military, man? All right, so my biological father, who I have a relationship with him, but he didn't raise me, so it's like a very talk 2-3 times a year type shit. Mm-hmm. He owned a store, like a bodega store in the Bronx. Mm-hmm. So I used to actually literally work there. That's how I used to get like my gear. Like, that's, like, my parents would take care of me, but they're going to get me what I need. They're not getting me what I want. Mm-hmm. So if a new pair of sneakers come out and I want it, guess what? I was there Friday after school, taking the train to New York, and go work at the store. Sit there and work all day. I work Saturday morning, get in there like 8 o'clock in the morning to like 10 o'clock at night. Also, for Sunday, I can get $80 to go buy a pair of Air Forces or some J's.
Mm-hmm.
So I seen like what the business was, and I was like, yo, I kind of like working for myself and seeing cash flow in your hand, right?
Exactly.
So what happened was, I was working for a company. I'm not gonna say the company, but I was working for them. I got laid off. My whole department was laid off. I was a supervisor of nine other people. We all got laid off. When I got laid off, I was like, I already had the barbershop at this time, and the only reason I got the barbershop is let me backtrack a little bit. I went to barbering school. I enrolled. I paid. It was myself, no financial aid. I was paying for it. The school didn't accept financial aid at that time, but you can go and get like a private loan and shit like that. I didn't do it. I just said, look, let's work out a number that I can give you every month so I can pay for my school myself, right?
Right.
So I did, and then after like my second month there, just talking to the person who owned the school, I realized I didn't really have to go to school to be a barber, well, to own a barbershop. I didn't want to be a barber. I just wanted to own a shop.
Right.
You know, and I thought, you know, turn one shop into three into five into seven, keep it moving from there.
Right.
So I opened up this shop, and in the process, I get laid off from my job.
Right.
Now, before I got laid off, I already had opened up a convenience store in Wallingford, Connecticut as well. East Side convenience store. I had that going for me, and then I basically just turned it into a flip. So the money that I made from, you know, the convenience store, I had it for, it was less than a year, and I went and sold it to somebody else. So it was a cool flip for me. And so I still had the barbershop, and then when I decided to relocate is when I said, like, I can't have the barbershop anymore. I didn't have anybody I could trust who could really, like, run it for me. I'm not going to tell my mom, like, yo, go check up in the shop. Like, that's not the place for her, you know. So, but what inspired me to do all that was just money. The money. I like money. I like when it comes fast.
Money
you know what I'm
freedom,
saying?
right? You know?
And that's the thing, and that's the last time. That was back in 2011 when I got laid off. I never had a corporate job since. In podcasts, it's the numbers it's not, oh, how much money did you make off your podcast, because you're only getting money off of advertisers, right? So my thing is, like, how many people are going to actually listen to this product that we're dishing out? You know what I'm saying? How many people? How do I know that when you click that button, you're not really interested in basketball? You might be like, I'm never listening to it again.
So how did you get over that hurdle? Like, how do you deal with that? Like, that's hard. Like, you know, producing a podcast or video product, and it's like, you know, how do you say, like, man, like, I know I'm always gonna hit that 300, 400, 500 mark every time. Some higher, some lower, but I'm gonna hit that.
All right. So before we even got to those type of numbers, my first thing was I set such a low bar for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and me and Rome talked about it during our first shows. Like, yo, what do you think is a win? I'm like, yo, if 30 people listen to this, like, I'm happy that 30 people actually took an hour out of their day to really listen to me and this dude talk about basketball,
right?
Or talk about hip hop. Like, that to me was crazy. So the second one we did was DJ Santo. He's a Hot 93.7 DJ. At that point, he was like fresh, like maybe a year into his show on Hot 93.7. And when I saw those numbers go up, I'm like, oh, okay, so this is how it works.
Right.
You got to get people in here, and you get their fan base in the process.
Right.
So my thing is, like, at this point, I don't even care what the numbers reflect. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I do get, like, I had a show recently, like, maybe, like, 5 weeks ago that was, like, it didn't even crack 300. I was so pissed. I'm like, damn, for real? Like, I thought,
right, because you set a standard for yourself, and that's
content,
what it is.
like,
You know, that discipline, setting standards, that's how you're going to be like, all right, cool, it didn't hit,
yeah.
I'm tight, but I'm going to do something different next time where hopefully I'm going to get that number in.
Exactly. And the next one after that was, like, it was over 300. I mean, I would like to see it, like, you know, because I'm competing against myself when I look at Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, like, who am I really competing against?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, shout out to everybody who's doing their thing, but I feel like I have a good product and I deliver weekly.
Right.
A lot of people might, you know, go consistent and go disappear a little bit, come back, disappear, come back. You know,
right.
I'm here every single week. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? So it's like, when I look at the numbers, so when I set the bar up at first, if I did it now, there's no way I can be like 30 is the bar. Like, there's no way, because there's so many other people doing it. Like, now if I go drop an episode and only has 100, which, you know, doesn't really happen, I'd be pissed like I was when I hit 260 or whatever it was.
Right.
And it's like, yo, that's 260 only on SoundCloud. We do have more on iTunes. I don't even promote our iTunes link because iTunes doesn't show the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So back when I first started, iTunes it was connected between iTunes and SoundCloud, so you can see the number between both platforms. Now they just kind of separated it. So point is, if I don't hit the mark, I'm pissed. But you know what? I just chalk it up. Maybe the guest was whack. Like, what else can I do?
Right.
I come in the same way. I prepare the same way, which is not really preparing, just coming in and going based off conversation. So if it don't hit, it's like, I know I did my part. You know what I mean? Like, and it could just be that the person we had doesn't even, you know, they're not at a point where they have that fan base who's really looking to even hear what they got to say.
Right.
Like, we're going to get our numbers regardless because people are going to be like, all right, let me see who they have this year. But there's times where, you know, when we first started within those first 20 weeks, it was like super up, like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5. By the time we hit like week 6, week 7, it just starts dropping down. And it's like, damn, like, what happened? People just got bored. People,
Right.
for the way I look at it is like, yo, 50% of the people are just curious. 40% don't want to see you win, so they just want to hear it, just to see like, oh, this shit is trash, or have a comment about it. And
Right.
10% really actually care about what you're doing.
Okay.
I don't feel there's no way in hell like I got 50% of the people I know who actually really support me. Like, when I look at my numbers and I'm like, I got people who listen more in Massachusetts than Connecticut, that it's astonishing to me.
Right.
I
So,
don't-
right. They want to see. They just like the content, you know. But there's no personal relation. They're not,
Exactly.
you know, competing with. You're not a Massachusetts dude. So,
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. You know, so people here, they're like, you know, I don't think they, and it's not so, I can't even give them that much credit, 'cause I feel like people still don't understand what a podcast is.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
when-
like some people, like it's starting to pick up podcasts. It's
Yeah.
most definitely starting to pick up. It's still a very relatively new thing.
Exactly. It's
people-
still under, I think, might be 11 years old. So we're still in the phase if we're putting ourselves in the same direction as when television first came out. We're still black and white.
You're still
Podcast is
right.
still black and white. There's not even
Right.
color TV yet.
Right.
Like,
It
in that
hasn't
time
gotten to the
frame.
extremes yet.
Exactly. So people don't understand, like, oh wait, I can, you know, like, I got a Fire Stick, right? So on my Fire Stick, I could actually download iTunes.
Mhm.
So my podcast, if I ever want to listen to it, I don't really listen to the stuff we put out, except if I want to go back to hear something that I feel like I could have did different. You know, kind of like it's like a basketball player just checking the tape again.
Gotcha.
But I can listen to it right from my TV,
Right.
and people don't even know that. You
I
know what I
know.
mean? And people don't know. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I had the podcast app on my phone for maybe 2 years before I started the podcast. I had no idea what I can do with that app.
Right.
And I remember back in the day, you couldn't even delete the app off your phone because that was like kind of like the utilities that came with the Apple phone.
Right,
It was
right.
like you can't delete that. You can delete a bunch of things. Now you could if you want,
Right.
but now you're foolish if you delete the podcast app. Make sure you download it. Like, it's very important to have right now. But yeah, so like that was really like the biggest hurdle, and then just trying to figure out how do I get this on iTunes, and then wonder, are people gonna like what they hear?
Right. But
And I've had-
sometimes half of it about liking what you hear, it's like, you know what? People who don't like what they hear, it's not for them. That's
Right.
what it is. You
And
know
that's
what I'm
and that's
saying?
what I
It's
tell
not for
people.
them.
I'm like, if you don't like it, just don't subscribe.
Exactly.
That's why if you subscribe to what I say, hit that subscribe button, and you know, make sure you listen to it. You know what I mean? And if you don't, you catch up every now and then.
Gotcha. But last but not least, you know, something I really want to touch upon about is like, you know, listening to you, listening to the hustle and the grind, and just your personality. Like, how do you tell people not to be afraid to lose? I think that's really hard. Like, when you take that L hurts.
Mhm.
You know
Absolutely,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And like, how do you sit and say, you know what, I lost this one. I'm not doing well on this one. That was a win for me. But I know I want to make it big. I know how I want my life to be. How you not taking those L's?
All right, so how do I tell somebody to not be afraid to take those L's?
Yeah,
Or-
how do you tell the audience like not to be afraid to take those L's if they're gonna, you know, map out their own path to like happiness and success, man? Like, how do you tell?
Yeah, at the end of the day, like, every day above ground is a blessing,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
I feel like if you're somebody who's an entrepreneur who's looking to start a business, like, if you have a product you're selling, you know, like, all right, we're selling this water. If you go out, you only make one sale that day, consider it a blessing. I just set such a low bar
Mhm.
to like, okay, if I can go out there and get, you know, 10 people to buy this smart water, I think I got something successful. You know what I mean? I shouldn't have even said the brand because they're not paying us to promote it, so I apologize. But just try to give you an example of like, you know, so you can't be scared of taking L's, because if you're scared, then, you know, it's like if you're scared to losing a fight, don't fight.
Exactly.
Don't put your hands up.
Right.
That's it. So don't step into a lane if you're nervous about something, because that nervous and that anxiety can end up crushing you later on.
Right.
That's my personal belief. That's not probably what other people believe in, but I feel like that anxiety will play against you.
It will.
Like I took a L on my barbershop, but I would go ahead and do it again if I had the chance. I would do it
Right.
again. You know, so I would just tell people, like, you can't focus on the L. Know that it can happen, but don't focus on that. Focus on what the W is going to be. And I feel like that at the end of the day, consistency is what changes everything.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to do something for a while to realize, okay, this is what I need to do different. So if you have a business that you're going to start, how much do you value money? It comes down to being the real question.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we had a guest just recently who said that he probably touched $1 million. I probably, by myself, being 29 years old, probably touched, maybe 200,000, maybe 250,000.
Mm-hmm.
What do I have to show for it? Not much,
Right.
but I touched it.
Mm-hmm.
So money comes and goes at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So my thing is, if my bills are paid and my kids have food in their stomach, that's a good way to start.
Right.
So everything else that comes in is going to be gravy.
Exactly.
And that's what I just tell people, like, if you value money that much, guess what? When you die, cool, you have $200,000 sitting in your bank account. Great. You did a good job. You did a good job being a saver. What do you have to show for it after that, though?
Right. What did you create? What did you bring into this world?
Exactly. And that's one thing that I like about the podcast, because guess what? If I die tomorrow, y'all got 87 episodes to hear my crazy life. You get what I'm saying? To hear Rome City's crazy life, or hear the crazy stories that we've gotten on the show.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if you're scared to lose, don't fight. Don't play in the game. Like, I mean, the last time I went gambling, people ask me, like, oh, you gamble? I'm like, yeah, from time to time. I only gamble if I don't care about losing my money.
Right.
So last time I went gambling, I took 500. I was like, if I lose 500, I come home, I lose 500. It don't matter.
Right.
I came back home with $800 more in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a nice night.
Right.
But I went with the expectation, if I lose this, I'm okay.
Right.
And that's what you have to do in business. That's what you have to do when you're an entrepreneur. That's what you have to do with anything that you set out to do. If I lose this, will I be okay?
You'll be fine.
At the end of the day, did I take a L when my barbershop shut down? Hell yeah. I took a L, but I was good. Like, it didn't make or break me. I was straight. I continued going. I didn't go from living in the mansion to living in the box. Like, I had the same apartment until I decided to upgrade and move to Florida. You know what I mean? So it's like, at the end of the day, you just can't be afraid to take an L. And for anybody who has that in their mind, like, oh, I need to be careful because I might lose, it's like, it's okay. If you're not expecting to lose, why are you even going into it? Because losing is only going to turn into a learning process.
Right.
Like, now if I go into opening up another barbershop, I'm sure that thing's going to be very successful.
Exactly.
Because I already know what I'm going to do different. You know what I mean? Same thing. So that's kind of like the approach I took with the podcast, honestly, is how can I lose? How can I lose?
You can't.
I'm doing something nobody else is doing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, and then by the time everybody started doing it, I already had, I'm like 2 laps around them, so they're still running, chasing what I did, months ago, or whatever the case may be. And that's just how I look at it, like, But there's no fear in trying anything. And my dad always told me, like, you throw a dart on the wall, see if it sticks. I've had multiple businesses that people don't even know about, you know what I mean? And some work, some don't. So that's how I look at it. Throw the dart at the wall. If it sticks, good. If it doesn't, pick it up, throw it again.
Exactly.
See what happens.
Hustle mindset.
That's it. That's just, I mean, it's been in me, and I don't know, I've always had people say, like, oh, that's a New York thing. Because, like, I was about to buy hot dog carts and put people on different corners, like, yo, this is your spot. I'm going to provide you with X, Y, Z. I just want my 30%, and that's it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's the only thing I got to say is that if you're fearful of doing something, don't get in the ring now.
Right.
Don't.
Exactly. So hopefully you guys got some, quick jewels from Chris P about getting in there, killing it. Don't be afraid to take that L, man. Being afraid to take that L, I'll tell you straight facts from my own personal insight. I mean, that anxiety is real, man. The stress, not knowing what to do. You're like, what's the next step? You think you got everything planned out, but that stress is hitting you. So
Exactly.
hustle through it. And if you're not going to go to university, you're not going to go, the traditional route. Make sure you're finding something, get your foot in the game, and just go for it. Pick yourself up from the L if you take the L. So hopefully everybody enjoyed that real quick. Thank you so much.
Can I leave the people off with one thing?
All right, tell them.
Meek Mill took the biggest L in the last 10 years. He's doing all right. He's doing okay. Do not be afraid to hold that L.
Right.
Tattoo it on yourself for a reminder to not do it again.
Exactly.
But if he survived the big L's he took like a good 2 to 3 L's in the year 2016 and 2017. He's still standing. He's good. So don't be scared.
Don't be scared, everybody. All right, that's it, everybody. Have a good night. See you later. Thank you so much, Chris.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.